How many seasons have you been part of Dancing with the Stars?
This is season 17 as we added up. It's been over 11 years.
Do you do any collaborations with anyone else on the show?
Derek will come in full blast. He's a full cup of whatever you think he is. He is that and more. So I go over to Stevie Wonder. He's sitting at the key. He says, Ray, and I'm going to do my Stevie Wonder look. He says, Ray, I want to change the ending. And I was like, change the ending. Okay, change the ending indeed. Yes, sir. What are you going to tell him? No? He says, just wants to change the ending. You change the ending. First of all, I had Beyonce. Had Mariah Carey, Alicia Keyes. There's nothing going to be bigger than that.
You're doing Macys Day Parade. You're the musical director on that.
Yes.
How many times have you done that now?
11 years. How about that?
And you're working on this one coming up.
Yes. The broadcast, which you hear on NBC, is 3.5 hours of wall-to-wall music, all of which I have to provide.
What a challenging task handling the machine of doing all of this music for a live TV show.
Yeah.
When you first came into it, is it what you expected?
No. As a matter of fact, when the few times I had watched the show, because at the same time I was doing American Idol, and we were in Studio 36, and across the hall at 46 is where they were doing Dancing with the Stars. So I would, every now and then, I'd see, some of our schedules were close, and I'd pop in every now and see, what they were doing. But I was mostly focused on what I was doing at the time. So the few times I actually watched the show, I was like, oh, this big ballroom thing with 19-piece, ballroom-style orchestra, really cool, And then years later, when they said, hey, they called me up and said, we're thinking about, having a change here, and would you be interested? I said, yeah, So I said, oh, let me go and watch the show, all right? So I watched the show. I was like, okay, well, that was really great. And what would I do differently? And so I think that my approach was, yes, we need to contemporize it. We need to kind of make, the approach musically to songs that they do. We have to do it kind of the way the original artists are performing it. So when you hear like a Katy Perry song, it's got all these, slamming sounds and all that. Well, you're not going to really get that with an orchestra, with a ballroom style orchestra per se, right? So I had to kind of come up with a configuration that would be suiting for not only doing a Sinatra song, but a Katy Perry song.
Right. So even when you're doing like Aerosmith or Green Day, like to get those guitar tones, how much prep goes into that, and where do you find the balance for what needs to serve the ballroom, the dancers, the live TV? The song itself?
Well, it's not easy. We have to go into we have to go really into the intricacies of the songs. We have to break them down. We have to do what I call the process of unbake the cake. All right, so you got or tell me what's in that sauce. Well, nobody's giving me that information. We have to go and research it. So a song like you said, the Green Day. What's in that? Oh, we got the heavy guitars. Well, okay, a guitar. Well, what kind of sound did they use exactly on that? Which of the stops did they use? Which of the pedal settings? We have to get into all of that, and then go to making sure that the vocals are doing what I call vocal shaping. All right, so our singers, I tasked them with doing vocal shaping. So no, you don't have to sound exactly like Frank Sinatra, but the way he sang the song, the sultry things, the way he turned the phrase, well, I need that. And so what we wind up doing is just going inch by inch through the songs, through the songs, taking them apart. What's in there? What was that sound? How'd they get that? And some of the hip hop songs where they have built up a collage of samples, we actually have to, because we can't use anybody else's samples, so we have to sometimes recreate what that sample was,
Right. So with like Wicked Night, I feel like that sound is pretty good for what you bring to the table for it, right?
Oh, I love that night. That whole night was fabulous.
Yeah. Is there a night that you really speaks out to you?
That's it. The Wicked Night, I loved it. It was really a massive amount of, first of all, a lot of information musically. There was a lot to see. There was a lot to see, hear, and build with that. And we were, by the time we finished that week, we were all exhausted, you know. And we only get a minute to be exhausted before we're on to the next show. But
How much prep do you have for a theme night?
not a lot. Because we do the show.
Right, this is crazy.
Do the show on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I have an email list of stuff to do with references, and it's right to work. We got Wednesday. We do our research, work on the arrangements, talk about what's in there, discuss who's going to do what. So Wednesday and Thursday, these are all prep days where we're trying to, you know.
With the full orchestra.
Yeah. We're trying to figure everything out. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then Saturday, I have to put it all together. And to the degree that it sounds like what they're looking for. Now, that's not the final step, because the final step is that we have to kind of have all the engineers balance the mixes over the weekend. They want to hear the references that we did on Saturday.
Is that just like a scratch record?
Yeah, I would say it's a draft, the first draft. But by the way, the first draft better be damn good, so.
What's up, guys? Real quick, this episode is brought to you by Aonic. Aonic provides clean hydration crafted with magnesium, electrolytes, and real fruit juice. Made for those looking to get the most out of hydration. We've got some sparkling passion fruit, some sparkling orange, and a sparkling raspberry. Aonic is developing the world's most advanced ecosystem for functional nutrition to make healthy living enjoyable. Aonic delivers pure science-driven nutrition, and every formula targets a clear need and delivers benefits you can feel. What I love most about it is that there's no pixie dusting of ingredients, which means they only use clinical validated dosages. Plus, it's third-party verified. Independent labs test every batch and they publish the results. It's got premium natural ingredients from real cacao and vanilla in Aonic Fuel to real fruit juice in Aonic Revive. Plus, the best part, low calories, baby. Only 15 calories in this whole can. Delicious taste, zero artificial, low in sugar and calories. No caffeine or added sugars, no artificial sweeteners, no GMOs. It's just the right amount of fruit juice compared to sweetness. It's really good. We've got some chromium, some B vitamins, some zinc. I love drinking it after a hike. I love drinking it after pickleball. It's really, really good. So if you want to try it, it's going to be linked down below. Stay hydrated, my friends. Now back to the podcast. What happens when one of the dancers wants to add some kind of tweaks to it, even like last second? Is that possible?
Yeah, we get that all the time. And hey, I'm doing a turn here. I want to accent pop, things like that. Or hey, there was a vocal thing, maybe the backgrounds were too loud. We'll have to kind of adjust that with the engineers. So everything is a balance between, it's all music prep. We prep with not only the instrumentalists and the singers, but with our engineering team, who are great, because we have to make sure that it sounds great, not only in the ballroom, but for broadcast. So something that, some little funny sound may not necessarily work that great sticking out in the broadcast. It may be fine in the ballroom, but not necessarily for the broadcast.
Does that happen often?
Not too much. But the tweaking does happen. The tweaking happens right up until we go on the air. I'm on the telling them, hey, listen, I'm listening, because we record all of our rehearsals, and I'll listen back to rehearsal and have to tell the engineer, hey, man, that sound is not loud enough or needs to be softer. All right, and so right up until the time we go on the air.
When the episode airs, do you personally have time throughout that week to go back and re-listen to how it sounds?
I go back home, because, by the way, I'll give you an example of our day. We will get there at 5:30
in the morning. Crazy.
And we'll start. We'll do a rehearsal. We'll rehearse with the dance teams. We'll do 3 times per song.
Is this show day?
Yes, it's show day. On Tuesday morning, we are there at 5:30. We start rehearsing. We rehearse right up until about 12 o'clock, because we have to go each of the teams. We'll do lunch, come back and do a full dress rehearsal, and then be fresh by 5:30.
And you guys are
12 hours later, yeah.
All ready to go, the vocal. Wow.
Yeah.
Why do you guys get there so early? That's just the timing that it needs to be?
Yeah, because all trying to, again, over the weekend, they've been listening to draft references.
Right.
Now they want to hear, what's the real thing going to sound like? They've been rehearsing with a little boombox. Now they got to hear it with the full, detail.
What is it like for you when the dancers get to hear the actual song for the first time?
Well, we get wonderful reactions. Sometimes they're so focused on the dance. So while they're dancing, they'll hear that maybe some accent wasn't enough, and they'll come over and say, "Hey Ray, during this part I need the accent a little heavier or something like that."
Do you prefer to reconstruct a song that you haven't heard ever before, or one that you're familiar with?
I'm glad you asked that because it's every bit challenging to do something that has been done because what happens is they are looking for all the wonderful nuances and all of the things that are in that sauce and in that cake. They need that, because they got so used to that, and choreographing to it. So I have to provide that. And then there's the other, the other angle. Well, hey, it's nice to come up with our own arrangements. I do a lot of that with Derek and sometimes with Val and Mark.
The musical people who have...
Yeah, they'll have a lot of, their own personal ideas about, like, for instance, Mark was with the other show.
With Green Day.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, man, we got to rock it like this. We got to do this. We got to do that."
He loves Green Day.
He sat at the rehearsals and, showed us what he was looking for. And then we had to kind of build that sound. Yeah.
Right. Have you ever been constructing a song and it had to take a left turn that you weren't expecting to be good, but it ended up working out perfectly?
Yeah, there are some things that sometimes we've had a song that when I'm hearing it for the first time or hearing the arrangement or the rendition for the first time, I'm like, okay, yes, and then it turns out to be a lot better than I thought. Like, for instance, when we did God Only Knows, and that's the original by the Beach Boys, and then, of course, a few other renditions of the song. And I actually hadn't heard that version of the song with John Legend. So when I heard it, I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting, kind of nuance, it's got, And then when the final result was, I was like, wow, that's almost like one of my favorite versions of the song, yeah. Wow. Because, very, spacious and eclectic. It was really cool, yeah.
This is your love. Like, I see it. I understand it. Are you able to listen to music and enjoy it just as a whole? Or are you constantly dissecting what they're doing and how they produce it and what sounds and tones they're going for?
Yeah, I listen to things. I'm glad you asked that because there's times where I have to, like, turn off the music director, producer in me and just listen to it and just listen to something. And then, but, most of the time I'm listening very intently and very purposeful because, especially during season, there's not a lot of downtime. So if I have an hour drive, I'm listening to either what we've done or what we're getting ready to do.
How many seasons have you been part of Dancing with the Stars?
This is season 17 as we added up. It's been over 11 years, yeah.
That's insane. Is there any weeks or songs that were really challenging for you to put together?
Yeah. Wicked. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna holler at everybody. That was the most challenging. One, the first part of it is that it was such a great, gigantic product. You go from these wonderful lush ballads to these big voluptuous orchestrations that have to be totally cinematic with these grand vocals. Trying to have vocalists sing Ariana Grande and Cynthia. Come on, it's like who can do that with the kind of not only conviction but with the kind of results that their fans are going to be appreciative of. Because if you don't nail those songs, the internet would have ate us up, right?
Right.
So the good news is that we got a lot of love. And it was work that felt like, wow, I'm glad that paid off, because we put a lot of time into that.
I find it so fascinating because you make it so effortlessly. Like, you guys really crush it on every single level that you're not even necessarily like aware that there's a live band because you're like, there's no way someone's singing that live right now. There's no way that they're playing this live right now. But you guys are always in tune. You're always in sync. You're always on.
It's a testament to a great team. And we pull, everybody has been, they get very focused on it. And so my preparation is I micromanage and then I don't micromanage. You know, then I'm macro, and then I'm not macro. I'm like, I'm I'm for everything. You know, I'll sit down, I'll call people up, I'm say, listen, you got to get this part. You know, then I'll allow them the time to like come back and deliver. I'm saying, okay, that was pretty good, and I'll go back to Wicked Week. That was such a huge plate. The first part is that the people that own Wicked, Universal, they were very, first of all, they were very aligned with their own version of how things should be. All right, this is their product. They got the movie, got the Broadway, so whatever you do now better be as great as that. And I had to meet with the folks, and everybody was very focused on that this had to be great. And then so was I. I was like, okay, well, here we go. This is what we do. Let's all be great, great, great. You better pull out your best vocal on this one,
Travis. Oh, boy.
That's right. That's right.
Wow. So, I mean, you guys crushed it. Is there any feelings when the director's in the room or Michael Bublé's in the room and you guys are re-singing his songs?
Yeah, I'm very aware. But I'm so focused on delivering. We do a lot of preparation. I guess the analogy could be that, sports analogy is that you practice, and when you get up to the plate, hit the ball. Now, in the case of us, if we're going to use the baseball analogy, every one of the things have to go over the fence, all right? we need a home run every time. We can't be there ain't no strikeouts.
Have you just always been attracted to live music?
Oh, yeah, I love it. It's been my entire life.
Ever since you were a kid?
Yeah.
The directing of it, like you love piecing everything together. Are you also producer as well?
Yeah. I'm producing my own album right now. It's called My Journey, and your viewers look out for it. It's me in collaboration with a lot of wonderful popular artists. And, Sway Chew and friends. So the good news is I have a lot of good friends.
Yes, you do. Is there anyone on the album that you could talk about?
Robin Thicke, Yolanda Adams. We have a lot. And some of our, cast singers going to be with us. Yeah. What's
been the most shocking thing for you to work on live TV for a show like Dancing with the Stars?
The most shocking. Well, we've had times where, the audience has kind of gotten a little beyond themselves. Their role in the audience is yes, we need you to be energetic. We need you to, to give us all that an audience needs to do. Sometimes they step over the line, they jump onto the dance floor. One time I remember somebody got crazy, jumped on the dance floor, and one of the guards had to tackle him. This is right in the midst of, So we go to commercial, we'll do, 5-8 minutes, and then we'll go to commercial. During the commercial, somebody jumped on, it was chaotic, security, everything has to happen. And then also this season, Elaine, she was injured. Like, what's going to happen? That affects all of us because we prepare, those songs. We're ready to go. And when that didn't happen necessarily the way, then the production has to call an audible. And we got, okay, what do we do? And everybody's scrambling. What's the next move,
So what is the next move for that? You guys are using the draft that you guys already recorded?
Yeah, well, they pull from the rehearsal, yeah.
Which they always tape?
Yeah, they tape all the rehearsals, yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, they record all rehearsals, yeah.
So when you're listening back for a song, let's say you're going to do something for the 20th anniversary. It's a song you haven't heard in a while. What's the first step for you to putting this together?
The first step is, again, unbake the cake. What's in that cake? If it's a sauce, what's in that sauce? Coriander. How much coriander? Oh, wow. Maybe that's curry. Maybe that's not curry. Let's figure it out. And once we do that now, I got to put it all together.
Do you have a certain room or headphones or any kind of method to your madness of how you make this happen?
Yeah, it's everything. I listen with headphones. That's why I was sharing with you. I don't have any down drive time. When I'm in the car, I'm listening, trying to dissect what's in there. When I'm home, I'm walking around with my earpods on. When I sit in my studio, got my headphones on, or I'm blasting it up, and every now and then I'll get a call from a neighbor say, hey, making too much noise.
How'd you find your way onto TV?
Wow. I go back to when I was in the New York session scene as the #1 studio musician. And I used to be in the studio all the time. I was brought into the studio scene by Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson. And I started working on records. And I was doing, and if you look into the crate, folks, look in your crates. I go back Dinah Ross, Glass Knight and the Pips, Shaka Khan, Teddy Pendergrass, Paul Simon, all these people. I'm doing sessions like this every day. And I was also doing all the TV and radio commercials, Coke, Pepsi, McDonald's, blah, blah. So my whole days, and this was every day, I'm in the studio every day. I have a 9 o'clock McDonald's, 11 o'clock Coca-Cola, and something else in the afternoon. Then at night we would be in these studios, and it was such a wonderful scene for. And I'm like 19 and 20 years old, and this is great. I'm loving this. And then one day I'm having sushi, and then one of my buddies, he says, "Hey, listen, I'm going to be the new music director at Saturday Night Live." And I was like, "Oh, great." He says, "Do you want to do it?" I was like, "Yeah." So I joined Saturday Night Live when my first TV show was Saturday Night Live during the Eddie Murphy years. That's going back. Wow. Yeah, right?
Are you musical directing for that then?
No, I was one of the writers and arrangers and played piano.
Oh, wow.
But that was my first introduction to TV. From there, my next TV experience was Showtime at the Apollo. And a lot of people know me from that show. And 15 years of doing that was crazy. The schedule was crazy. I could write a book on that.
Yeah, I'd love to get into that. But to go back to when you're getting McDonald's and all these other commercials, are you scoring it? Are they just giving you the footage and you're figuring out?
No, I was the arranger, sometimes the player, sometimes different roles. But, we were just doing them, and the pace was so quick. We call a rhythm section in, and at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, we're done with that. And then the singers come in, we do that, and then any other things, the other layers that need to happen. And then the process is I would get the film first, and I'd have to work out where everything happens with the arrangements, and then you put the music to the film.
And what are you doing it on? What's the program?
Well, there was no program back then. It was all live. We would have to sit what they call a movie-ola. Look it up, y'all. A movie-ola. This is this little thing that goes
I know
like
what that is.
Right.
I went to film school.
And you would find the frames. So there would be there was a book called the Click Track book that was this thick, that per every tempo you could find out where a certain frame would fit. So that's right. It was that thick. So if the tempo was, 96, and you wanted to have a hit on a certain beat, well, you have to go and find that spot and to figure out what bar that's in. So now as I'm writing the music, I go, okay, at this tempo, there's on bar 4 on the beat 3, bar 4. That's where that hit needs to be to match the video, right? Now it's a lot simpler now, but hey, that was the craft.
And when this is all happening, is this your dreams come true and you're just in shock every single day that you get?
I'm loving it. And I'm loving it now. I absolutely love what I'm doing.
How'd you find your way onto American Idol?
American Idol. Well, all my years at Showtime at the Apollo, they started getting some recognition, and that's in New York. And then so I said, wow, there's a lot going on in L.A., man. I need to get out there. So I just came out. And if you know people in L.A., it can be really cool. If you don't, it can be pretty lonely, So the first couple of weeks, I'm just sitting in the hotel room, like can I get a meeting with somebody?
So you came out here not having anything?
Not knowing nobody, really. Wow. And I'm trying to hey, I called up and I'm calling people, and they're like, yeah, we'll get you a meeting, maybe in a couple of weeks. I'm like, couple of weeks? I'm in a hotel room, So anyway.
Wow. So when you start doing American Idol, is that what you expected for what you had to do?
Well, I was very prepared because that was a singing competition show. So all those years at the Apollo, It prepared me for that. I was ready for that. Matter of fact, that was a welcome extension, especially in terms of schedule. The schedule that we had to do at the Apollo delivering that show was so compacted. We had absolutely no time to really, do double rehearsals with anybody. It was quick, do the show. And at least with American Idol, we had, days of rehearsal and prep. I was like, oh, this is beautiful.
When you're doing the Apollo, is that your main thing, or are you still able to do commercials and music projects on the side?
Yeah, I was doing projects, and I was mixing it all up. That's been my whole life and career. I mix it all up. When I first came to LA, one of my big connections was with the BET, that whole system. And my first special was called the BET Celebration of Gospel. Great show. Every gospel artist would do that show. So that was great. Then I started doing the BET Awards, the BET Honors. It was and then a BET Series, Sunday Best. So I was doing everything BET. Then one year...
Were you doing the BET all throughout the 90s?
Early 2000s, I was doing all of the BET, every BET show that had music, all their specials.
Are you friends with all these artists? Are you working with them as well?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then one of the BET Award shows... we were working on a special that one of the focus artists was DeBarge and Mary J. and Ron Fair. And y'all should look him up. Ron Fair, genius, wonderful producer, the guy. He's a producer for all the Interscope and partners with Jimmy Iovine. He contacted me and said, hey, Ray, listen, we're taking over the American Idol product, and we'd like for you to be our guy. So I was like, cool. Again, some of this is serendipity. Some of this is, destiny. Sometimes you walk into a room and that's the room you're supposed to be in.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have a conversation with somebody. That's the conversation that you're having. And if that manifests, it's a wonderful thing. And that's what that did.
What kind of project gets you excited now?
My own project, where this is where I can create music from just an imagination to something that I have to, make happen in every single way. So I'm very excited about that.
How does the idea for the song come to life for you?
Well, first of all, I'm a dreamer. So, when I say I'm a dreamer, when I dream, I'm actually, I'll hear symphonic stuff, and sometimes in the middle of the night, I'm hearing the whole thing, and I'll have, thank God I built a wonderful little studio in my home, because I'll go downstairs 3 a.m, and I'm like, because I'm dreaming in the bed, and sometimes it just wakes me up. I'm like, okay, and I already know from experience, if I don't do something about it now, that goes away. So I'm hearing this great thing, so I'll get up and go downstairs and work on it. And so a lot of the music, I know that the spirit of music I'm inhabited by it. And then there are some things that visit me. And if you don't do something about it, it'll leave and go somewhere else. The spirit of music is of the universe. I happen to be, wonderfully appreciative of having that vessel that is visited by the wonderful spirit of music. It takes me places. I travel. That's why it's so enjoyable to me, because I get to do all these wonderful things. I could sit in a room by myself and be totally content. I'm so happy because I'm hearing all us. I'll sit for hours, and I do. Matter of fact, when I'm creating, sometimes I'll start at 5 in the afternoon, and then and at 5 in the morning I'm still sitting in the same spot, and I don't even feel it because I'm so into it.
That's the passion. I love hearing you talk about that, and I love the way that you explain that when it comes to you, you have to act on it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It is. It's music is the song of the universe, and with that there are other songs, and there's songs that you want to join. There's other things that happen, and then there's a wonderful symphonic piece or some kind of thing that's going to come in a full bubble right to your doorstep. And are you gonna make this happen? Can you make it happen? And I'm like, yeah. Let's make it happen. It's a co-production. Me and and God and my higher powers. I see it.
Who have you collaborated with that you've both just pushed each other to a new level?
I spent a lot of years working with Alicia Keyes, and I would speak specifically of the Diary of Alicia Keyes, that album. And we worked on a lot of music, and at that time when she first started, I had many different roles with her. I put her first band together. I conducted her first time at the Grammys. I helped put together her road shows. When I look at some of the badges I've had, one says conductor, one says production manager, one says production director. Oh, I'm like, yeah, it's all these things, and so I had a lot of wonderful years working with her, a lot of collab. There was a song that we did, "You Don't Know My Name," and at the end of the song, I did an interlude, a little string interlude, and I have done, sometimes she would call me, and the assignment was to just do this song, and for me, my own musical ingenuity, I'm like, hey, why don't we try this? I'll come up with some kind of intro, some kind of, crazy thing. Sometimes you use it, sometimes you didn't. And then sometimes the song ends and I'll tag something on. In the case of You Don't Know My Name, I had a little string interlude that happened afterwards. Years later, we're listening to the radio and my chief of staff, Janelle, says, hey, listen, that sounds like your strings. And I said, yeah, that is my stuff. And so what we found out was that Kanye West, who was also the producer on You Don't Know My Name, used my strings, and it's just my strings, and built, so there's no other part of You Don't Know My Name, just my strings, and they built that, and they put a beat on it, and wrote on top of it, and the song is called Comfortable, one of Lil Wayne's hits. With Babyface.
I feel like you just have so many of these stories. You need a book. You need a podcast. You need to make all this stuff come out.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to work on a podcast. Matter of fact, I have my New York stories to tell because I'm a New York in my heart. And so growing up New York, every inch of New York I've traveled. I know it. I know all the blocks. I know all the streets. I know the ones you would go down, the ones you shouldn't go down.
Are you a Yankee or a Met fan?
I'm both.
Okay.
Because the Mets was 1969. Yankees had all those years. So, yeah, I love them both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who'd you root for in the Subway Series?
I have to say I rooted for the Yankees, yeah.
Do you have a favorite player?
Yeah, well, during that time, Derek Jeter,
Yeah.
Derek, now, everybody, I love Aaron Judge,
And Giants, I assume you're a fan?
Well, you be talking about football?
Yeah.
I have to go back to when they were, they had the, Lawrence Taylor Giants and all of that. That's the Giants I love.
Yeah.
Giants now, they're still building. I'm gonna give them build time.
Is there anyone that you grew up that you idolized that you got to work with?
Yes, my idol was Quincy Jones. My musical idol was Quincy Jones. I wanted to be Quincy Jones.
In what capacity did you get to work with him?
As an arranger, he took me under his wing. He would, he showed me his scores. He invited me to his home, and we actually collabed on a few moments. One was at the Grammys with Alicia Keyes, where he conducted my arrangements, and I had to go to his house and because if you're going to be the conductor, you have to be the one that knows the music. And so he was so busy then. So I did the arrangement, and he's like, well, Ray, you need to come over and show me what you did. So I'm over his house and just kind of working with him and saying, hey, this is what I did here, this is what I did there. And then and he actually, I met him when I was about 19 through Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson, and he was in New York at the time working on The Wiz with a young Michael Jackson. He would take me with him to the studio, down to the studio in Brooklyn where they were filming, and say, Ray, just hang out. I'm hanging out, watching him do all that he does.
Watching Michael Jackson do all that he does.
And yeah, Quincy and Michael, the whole business, and that's before they actually recorded their first records, And so I saw the relationship burgeoning relationship, and what it means to really appreciate the artistry from one artist to the other, and say, hey, can we come together? And what happens when that works out? Sometimes it doesn't. In the case of them, it worked out pretty good.
Could you tell there was something magical happening?
No, I couldn't tell. I was just so happy. Well, first of all, I was just happy to be there. And then it was so much going on, and I'm so appreciative that he let me in to that moment.
Did you have any one-on-one interactions with Michael?
Yes, a few. But I have a wonderful Michael Jackson story.
I'd love to hear it if
All
you
right,
could
so
share.
this story involves Rihanna, actually. So I was working with Rihanna, and I had a period of time where I worked as her music director, and we toured Europe, and we did, things all over the place. And so there was one occasion where we were in France, and her management says, hey, listen, we got her a spot at the Brit Awards or somewhere. It was some awards thing. So it was a situation, it was a last minute thing. So this was, now how about this? And so they hook up this private jet, and this was Rihanna's first time flying private. And she's like, oh, she was so excited, and she made a big note about that. All right, cool. So we fly there, and we get all set up. They had 2 stages. We're on one stage, and we're getting ready to do her songs. We're prepared. On the main stage, they were giving out awards. They were giving out awards to different people. Right before we were going on, Michael Jackson was receiving an award. He was there, and he's on the stage. And so we're on stage 2. He's on stage 1, one big arena. So he's receiving his award, and he says, thank you, and goes away. And up comes the curtain on us. Now the audience starts booing because they were expecting him to perform. And here we are, and they're booing. Now, who wants to start off a big arena full of people booing? And I have to say, I'm going to give props to Rihanna, because she trooped it through. Because that a lot of people would have like been so distracted by that, and it was these were boos, and most people would have been like, well, why are you booing me? Being distracted from whatever you were getting ready to do, and she didn't. She stayed the course. She sang through it. And turned the crowd around.
She won them over.
And again, hats off to her. When I saw her later on, I was like, that was pretty good.
Is that one of the crazy, most challenging live moments that you've seen? Because for an artist to have that in front of somebody must be so difficult.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was. That whole arena, nobody's expecting boos. Matter of fact, at that level, all you're hearing is yays, different levels of yay, yay, crazy yay, but nobody's booing you.
Yeah. What performer has blown you away?
Well, I can tell you a situation that has kind of blown me away. It was the inauguration of Barack Obama,
which you did the
right.
musical directing
right.
for.
So not only was this a seminal moment in history.
The first when he took office.
That's right, when he first took office. And it was a big deal. It was. It was a big deal historically. It was a big deal for everything. Politically, everything. For everything that it meant, it was that. And so the production of that was huge. He had personally had his hand in curating, and they called it a ball, but this was the major television product. It was prime time. It was called the inaugural ball. They called it the neighborhood ball, but it was his ball. Now the president-elects or the presidents, they visit other balls, but none of them like this. This had, first of all, it had Beyonce, had Mariah Carey, Alicia Keyes, it had Maroon 5, Stevie Wonder, Sting, all right, Shakira, Jay-Z. So there's nothing gonna be bigger than that. That right, it had every major artist, and I was the music director for that. And pulling it all together, of course, you have all these grand stars, So there were so many moments in that Stevie Wonder. He's being Stevie Wonder, and so this is live. This is live. This is not we tape it and go and clean it up later. This is live. So so we'll do whatever it is, whatever the performance happens, and then commercial. During the commercials where they set up for the next act, right? Good news is that there were several stages, but so on this stage we're setting up, and Stevie Wonder and Sting are coming up, and I think they had two. But anyway, one of the songs. So Stevie has somebody come over to me. Now we got 3 minutes. We're already less than 3 minutes now. The clock is ticking, and I get a message. And Stevie wants to talk to you, and there's so much noise, So I go over to Stevie Wonder. He's sitting at the key. He says, "Ray," and I'm gonna do my Stevie Wonder look. He says, "Ray, I want to change the ending." And I was like, "Change the ending, okay? Okay, change the ending, indeed, yes, sir." What are you gonna tell him? No? He says, "Just wants to change the ending. You change the ending, okay?" So I'm trying to give me something so I could, what do you, and I'm in his ear because there was so much noise. I'm like, "So what do you want to do, Steve?" He says, "I want to go from did up tap to the bop." I was like, "Could you say it again?" Tip tap to the bop. All right, because before it was tip tap to the bop bop bop, and so now you want tip to the bop. Okay, let me figure out where the bop is. And he said, "Okay," and he played a little bit, and then now we're at about
Literally a ticking clock.
Exactly. We're like, you can hear the stage manager, 30 seconds, he's yelling and stuff like that. Now I got to go back to my station and dictate to my band who we're on comms. They can hear me. And listen, everybody, we're changing the ending. We're now doing tip tap to bop. I'm going to say it again. Tip tap to the bop. I hope you all got that, because here we go. 10, 9, 8.
And how does it work out?
It worked out. It worked.
Good.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is.
For something like that, you get the budget for how much you're getting. Do you immediately know who you're bringing in, how many people you're going to bring in?
No, I don't. I think it works the chicken and the egg. The egg is that's how much you got.
And then you do your best with what you can.
you got to figure out how you do what you can. Now, there's some cases where there's some room, but not usually a whole lot. When they build the budgets to these shows, they usually look at what somebody else has done or what they've done the previous time, and they
cut it down. Save some money. For when you're doing Macys Day Parade, you're the musical director on that.
Yes.
How many times have you done that now?
11 years. How about that?
And you're working on this one coming up.
Yes.
Is it a different challenge every single year?
Yes.
How so?
It is. Well, sometimes every year we have to come up with some grand opening, that's imaginative. It can't be what we did the year before. The audience always wants to see, they don't want to turn on the TV and, well, that's what you did last year. No, it's got to be something wonderful. So last year we did Billy Porter, and some wonderful grand thing that he starts uptown, and it comes out of this package, goes to him live, and so all that stuff has to be coordinated, and and it's really a wonderful labor of love. It's a lot of work. That show, and I'll share with your viewers and listeners that when you think of the Macys Thanksgiving Day Parade, what do you think of it? Well, a parade with all the balloons. Well, actually, yes. And then it's the broadcast, which you hear on NBC, is 3.5 hours of wall-to-wall music, all of which I have to provide. Some of it I have to make it sound like it's marching bands, and it's not. It's just sounding like marching bands. I have an ensemble that we pre-record all of the music that you hear. Now, there are a few exceptions. The Iowa marching band, which you hear walking down the street, that it just is what you hear the live mics catch that. Everything else has to be pre-recorded and triggered in live time while the parade proceeds. And we have 160 music cues for that show.
What does that mean by music cues?
Music cue, a piece of music. All right, so here comes the Snoopy's music, boom, boom, you hear the Snoopy's music. Right. And you made me hear 30 seconds of that, but we have to record that in full. We can't make it there's no throwaways. So the Snoopy's music can't sound the same as, as the Sinclair Dinosaur. That's got to be it's different music. And then you have music that goes to the commercials, come back to the commercials, bumper in, bumper out, Santa Claus musics. So I'm also the composer of about 60 to 70% of all the music you hear on the Macys Thanksgiving Day Parade.
How far out do you begin building that?
Months. It's all throughout the year.
And you're doing that all throughout the year while you're doing Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
How do you function?
Like I said, that's just like my drive time because I'll, on the way home, I'm thinking Dance with the Stars, and then in the morning, let me put on the Macys music. And then going back, let me go.
Are you flying out to New York? Do you have to be present there to see anything or not really?
Yeah, there are, I have to be present. Some of it is Zoom, but in any case, I have to record all the music beforehand.
Do you have to deal personally with those brands so that they can approve and make sure that that's how they want it?
They're very specific. The Aflac Ducks. Aflac, we have to get that sound and place it in the right spot and make sure it's exactly the right kind of Aflac,
Let's say you're working with a very high profile singer and you're dealing with a production for a show. If they want something very demanding, but the production's not able to accommodate that, you're the one in the middle that has to figure that out, right?
I am Switzerland. I'm glad you said that because I have to be Switzerland. I have to work with the artist. Sometimes you have to give them a back rub, figurative back rub. Oh, everything's going to be really wonderful.
You're so talented. You don't need it.
That's right. Don't worry about that. And they're only, hey, we need this, we need that, we need that. They're not getting that. They're not getting that. And I get that from them. I'm like, hey, what they said was, I can't deliver it back to them. What they meant was that we're not able to provide that particular, we're not doing that. Yes, we are. Anyway.
And so you're the guy that has to balance that out.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's my role. Switzerland. I'm Switzerland.
And do you get to work with a lot of people that you had previous relationships with?
Yeah. I see them all the time. They'll come in, John Baptiste, this one, that one. It's really great because I have a lot of many years of personal relationships that always, everybody kind of shows up at one time or another to the Macys Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Have you ever worked with John Legend?
I have.
In what
many
capacity?
years. We've worked. I've as a music director. I've done shows where I've been music director. He's been guest, and I've been in the studio with him several times. So yeah, I've worked with him. And as a matter of fact, when I started working with Alicia, when she first started out, and her second year in, he was opening shows for her.
Wow. Who are your top 3 performing artists today that just blow you away live?
Wow. I really get into the legacy groups like Earth, Wind, and Fire, who just had such a long history of greatness. You can, if you're able to deliver greatness for 30, 40 years, and longer, that's a wonderful thing. It's a very hard industry to sustain over that time. You see some people have, some glitter for a while and they kind of fade, but to sustain that. Alicia's another one at the beginning of her career, I remember walking down the street with her from a long rehearsal, and I said, you know what? And she was talking about, some legacy artists who she'd like to be like. I said, this is before she even won a Grammy. I was like, with your work ethic, you're going to have a long career. She said, come on, man. Don't talk like that. I was like, it's going to be fine. Again, and I look at respect for the Rihannas and Stevies and people like that. I love working with them. I love being able to collab with them. I love new artists that come in that we're able to do stuff with.
Is there a commonality that you see amongst all of these greats?
They've all registered that there's no one equation to success, however, or formula, but there are formulas that help lead you to it. Well, let's see. Well, let's start with a skill set. Great. Skills plus, environment and opportunity, yes. Okay, plus access, because you can have all those, you can do all that. If you can't get through that door, then nobody's going to hear it, you know? So you have that access to opportunity. Once you get the opportunity, being able to then focus and deliver.
Not get
And
distracted by all of the nuances coming
listen,
your
I
way.
used to do piano recitals when I was a kid, and I used to get so distracted because I'd practice, and then the moment came, I'd get so nervous, I'd mess up, and then and then once you mess up, you have to either start again or just fold. And so I had to learn from and I was doing piano recitals at age 6 and 7, and so I had to learn, wow, you could do all that work, and when the moment comes, you can't blow it. Don't blow it. That's the whole, the whole point,
Right.
And so I've learned that myself. I continually, I tell that and ring the bell with my team every time before we do a show. I tell, hey, listen, we've been working hard all week. I need your focus for 2 hours, nothing else. I want everybody doing a bunch of this, Yes, you got to do some of that, but I want to make sure that you're focused on delivering. We did all this work, and it's got to pay off now. There's not no tomorrow with our show. It's right now.
You really are so inspirational. How many projects are you working on right now?
Well, I have it's been a wealth of blessings, and I'll have to slow down. Right now, we did Christmas at Rockefeller Center.
The New York City one.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I did some of the music for Christmas at Rockefeller Center tree lining. Also did some of the music with Trisha Yearwood for Christmas at Nashville Christmas. And yes, this is while I'm focused and total and full of because when I'm doing Dance with Stars, that is my primary thing. I do have 1 or 2 days where I can breathe, like maybe watch some football, maybe. But then if I have an assignment, I'm taking it. Hey, they call me, Ray, can you do a track for us for Trish Yearwood? So yeah, I'll do it. And I'm like, okay, now let me figure out, where I'm going to fit that in my schedule. But yeah, the answer is yeah. We worked with Halle Bailey for the Christmas at Rockefeller Center. We did tracks for her, and we also did a few of those, And matter of fact, they go by so quick for me because once I get done with them, I clear the plate and I'm on to, my current assignment. As a matter of fact, that's how my approach is with Dance with the Stars. We'll work. It's like, you work to this point, do the show, ring the bell, and now we have to clear the deck and start again. That show is done.
Right.
That show is done. That's done already.
Is that out of your brain entirely? You're already on to the next.
Out the way. I'll watch the show once, maybe twice. In the case of Wicked, I actually watched that unprecedented 4 times because I was like, this is some pretty good stuff.
We crushed that.
Yeah, I have to say we did. So, but in the case, I have to clear the deck, focus on what we're doing right at the moment. Yeah, and then my album project. I'm very excited about that.
Do you have a release date?
No. Oh, it's gonna be after. It's gonna be March of 26.
Okay.
March of 26. That's when we're gonna release it. I'm gonna run that the entire year. I'll be out doing live performances, appearances, everything.
I'd love to do another podcast when that comes out.
Oh, we gotta do it. I'll be back.
Let's do it.
I'll be back. Yeah.
Who has the best home studio?
So a couple of years ago, I worked on a project called XQ. That was it was the baby of Steve Jobs' then brand new widow.
Yeah.
And this was one of her projects that was close to her heart. And it meant that I would fly all over the country and work with different artists and bring them together on, matter of fact, one particular song, You Don't Know About Me. Don't you forget about me. So we got Yo-Yo Ma, we got Sheryl Crow, we got James Taylor, and I'm flying all over the country. Sheryl Crow, when you think about, studios, she had this wonderful studio that was in like a barn. It was a converted barn. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. Out in Nashville. And she was very warm and welcoming. Came out in the blue jeans. Hey, Ray. And we just, kicking it around, and we recorded her there. Yo-Yo Ma. I had to, and all these, it was a venture getting to Yo-Yo Ma because he was up at James Taylor's studio, which is somewhere in the backwoods of Massachusetts that was off the main road, was zigzagging around. I'm like, are we ever gonna find this place? We finally get there, and then we work with James and we work with Yo-Yo Ma. It was great. So I have a lot of fun doing what I'm doing.
Is there something that you hold value of very sentimental that was either given to you or something you've collected or earned over the years?
The one thing I hold value, the most valuable things and assets are some of the things that are the gems that have been given to me. I have a lot of gems that have been given to me by Quincy Jones. And those gems are some of the things that he says. They'll endure much longer than a thing or an object. I could hear his voice ringing. I could hear my mother's voice. Now growing up, my mother and father. My father was a musician, and my mother was you have to say social work. She was many things, a maverick. I remember when I started, I came back from an audition at age 16, and I had been in music study every day of my life. And so my buddy, I was in the high school of music and art, and my buddy says, "Hey, this is an audition for Melville Moore," and we would go everywhere. We at the drop of a dime, if we heard something was going on, jam session, blah, blah, hey man, let's go. So we would just go. And I'm 16 years old. I'm a junior in high school. It's probably like in the fall, and my buddy says, "Hey, this is an audition for Melville Moore." Now at the time, I played not only piano, but I also was all city percussionist. I played in all city orchestra as lead percussionist, and so I would do little local jobs around town. Sometimes on drums, sometimes on piano, both. And right about high school, I was like trying to decide, well, am I going to be a drummer, percussionist, or a pianist? And this was the turning point for me. I went to the audition, and I wasn't sure because we were in school all day. I get down there at about 4:00, and everybody else had already auditioned, and she's looking for a new music director. And so I was like, okay. I get down there, and they put the music up. So I said, oh, I guess I'm playing piano. Okay, cool. Fine with me. So they put the music up. I look at it a little bit, and she comes over, and we sing, and I remember the songs too. We sing Pearly, we sing I Got Love, and something else. Anyway, 3 songs, and then I left. And I was like, oh, cool, that was a nice experience, because it's just me doing, the grind, the New York grind, right? Hustle and grind. You just go to auditions like the actors. Yeah, they go, you'll do an audition not knowing what it is. Don't even worry about it. Just keep doing it. I went with the same spirit. As I'm walking down the hall, Kai comes up to me and says, hey, she really likes you. I was like, and I really like her. When somebody says, I love you, and you like, cautious to say I love you back, but, and I love you too. So I said, I love you too. I really like her, right? And I said, no. She wants you to work with her. Now, at 16, I wouldn't say I had a baby face, but I did not look older than 16. I looked exactly 16, all right? And so I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking, wow, maybe she's going to do some gigs around town. That'd be really cool, right? On the weekends, whatever. And they hand me the schedule. And the thing is, like every day of the year, I'm like, wow. And so I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is a full tour. And so I went back to my mother. And again, this is where I'm going to focus on what you asked me about what I hold near and dear. I said, Mom, I really want to do this. And she paused, maybe 10 seconds. She said, well, you've been studying your whole life for this. Are you ready? I said, I'm ready. She said, then go. I mean, just the then go meant so much. Those 2 words, because that affirmed all the things that I had been learning throughout. That affirmed her confidence in me. That affirmed that, that she knew I was, and it gave me that affirmation, gave me that at 16 to go out and start my professional life.
Chase your dreams.
I left high school. I went right down the road.
Wow.
I sure did.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Do you do any collaborations with anyone else on the show?
Well, from time to time, I have my music trailer, and they'll come in and they'll say, "Hey, I have an idea for this." Derek will come in full blast. So Derek is a full blast. He's a full cup of whatever you think he is. He is that and more. He'll come in already at this pace, you know. And he just walks in the door like that. I'm like, hey. He goes, yeah. Hey, listen, I got, and he starts spitting out all these ideas. I'm like, okay, let me set my stuff up so I can, make musical notes. I'll set up a keyboard so I can play along with him. He says, yeah. And then I'm doing bop. And I'm like, okay, let me get a drum sound so I can kind of emulate what bop is. And just the franticness that I'm giving you right now, that's the moment with Derek, because when Derek comes in, I have to turn it up. From a 10 to a 12,
I had no idea how musically inclined he was.
Yeah.
I ended up shooting a video for him because he's on a song with Breaking Benjamin. Do you know them?
Yeah.
The rock band?
Yeah.
And I just said, yeah, I'll come film it. I'm standing in front of a stage. Papa Roach is singing their song. I turn around. It's Derek and Breaking Benjamin performing in front of this sold-out arena. It was the craziest thing.
Yeah.
I had no idea how talented he was musically.
Oh, yeah. And he's, and not just talented, but his skill level. See, I separate talent from skills, because talent, you can have that. That may be a wonderful gift of aptitude, where you could seemingly do something better than somebody else just because you've been sprinkled with that gift. You may do it faster. It may sound better. But then you have to provide that the work ethic and the skills with that, the skill set to marry it up into a full package that is edible by other professionals. When he walks in the room, I already know he's talented. That's great. So am I, by the way. So let's go. Now let's talk about what we got to do.
Right.
Matter of fact, so is everybody on this show. Everybody in my band. We are all A-level wired people. All right. Everybody on that show. Each one of those dancers, when they come to me, they are so specific. They know exactly what they wanted, what needs to happen at the exact moment. At 36 seconds, I need this and that. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm the guy to talk to, because that's the way I think too. I think exactly the same way.
Right.
And even as I'm talking to you now, I get right into that mode, because when they come to talk to me, I'm like, Ray, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Now we have different personalities. Val is hey, Ray. He'll come in the room. Hey, how you doing? Give me a hug. Hey, listen, Ray, can I? He's right there. And I've never seen him not be right there. I've never seen him get so emotionally excited, like where he's off the rails or anything. Never. And then you've had other ones, Emma's, spritzy and bubbly, and just like she appears, hey, bouncing up and down, and and so I have to deal with all these personalities. It's wonderful, man.
That's amazing. When you first came on Dancing with the Stars, were you taking over from somebody else?
So the original music director, Harold Wheeler, he was a mentor of mine when he was in New York. So he's a transplant from New York as well. And he had, like I said, he had invited me to the shows. I'd come to a couple of shows. And when it was time for the transition, he had basically given me his blessing. He said, hey, Ray, it's time. And he says that, all power to you, and that meant a lot, because it meant that I, or nobody else, and specifically him, was feeling like I was displacing him. He's great in his own right. So you're not displacing Harold. You're coming up with a different product, which is what I mainly make sure I was doing.
Is there anything that you're very excited about for the 20th anniversary?
Yes. I'm very excited for the 20th anniversary to, first of all, have Tom Bergeron back. Tom Bergeron, who is the ultimate professional of a host. He set the whole tone for this show. It was his baby. And for him to come back And, and the babies do grow. They grow up, they grow into teenagers. They grow into young adults. And so for him to come back and the baby is, now a young adult, and because he took it through the teen years and here we are, a young adult with a whole new audience. I was like, I'm like really happy. I think the demographic is with 60% of 40 and under.
Wow.
How about that?
That's crazy.
And I think about just 5 years ago, it was the other way around.
For a show that's 20 years old now, that's unheard of.
How about that? It's great. So, and for him to come back at this moment, I'm happy for him too.
Ray, it's really been incredible chatting with you.
Thank you.
Truthfully, thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm excited for your podcast.
Yes, and thank you because I'm going to be back.
Yes,
when I'm ready to release this record and the podcast, I'm coming back.
Please. Do you know who are you gonna be interviewing guests from New York? Is it going to be like restaurants?
Oh yeah. It's
businesses, friends.
It's mainly about the music.
Music.
It's about the music and my experiences in New York. I go through all the corners and places, subway. I could recite to you every stop on several lines. I kid you not, because I wrote them every day.
Who do you think, what New York artist speaks to you the most? Like when they're singing their songs vocally, their lyrics, who do you resonate with the most with?
That was Alicia.
Yeah.
She was New York all the way. That when she sings about New York, that was for real. She grew up right in Hell's Kitchen. And for those of you who've never actually, and you know about New York, but a lot of the audience doesn't, what it's like. It's not, if you grow up in all of that, hubbub and all that stuff and cars honking, you step outside your door, that's your reality. And she grew up with all of that, and she is quintessentially New York. And so I'm talking to people like that. I'm talking to people who don't know. I really want to help them get to know what it's like being a New Yorker, and then how you turn that kind of chaos into love.
So you consider yourself a New Yorker?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
What's the best toppings to put on a New York hot dog?
Mustard, sauerkraut.
That's it?
That's it.
Should folding pizza be illegal?
Yes.
Really?
Well, some boroughs, they fold it. I wouldn't say illegal. I don't do it.
You don't do it?
Oh, no, I eat it flat out, yeah.
What's your thoughts on people who eat pizza with a fork and knife?
Oh, they don't know pizza.
Get out of here.
Go somewhere.
What's the best topping for a bagel?
Lox and cream cheese.
Really?
Oh, yeah, that's it. That's a real bagel.
Being from New Jersey, I like pork roll, egg, and cheese.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Which park is better for people watching? Central Park or Washington Square Park?
People watching, it's Washington Square Park because it's compact and everybody's passing through a circle. Central Park is wide open and spread.
Do you have a favorite restaurant in New York City?
Or
a couple?
Yeah, it's a couple. Yeah. I like Greek. I like Italian. I like
Everywhere.
Japanese. So it's whatever I'm feeling at the time. But what I do like is I like all of it. So I never it's not like I'll go through it just one. No, I like during the course of a week I'm eating Japanese, Greek, Italian. Everything.
Do you know when your podcast might be coming out? Is it around the same time as the album?
Yeah. The album we're going to release in March 26th, and the podcast around the same time. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Ray, thanks so much for coming by.
Thank you.
The podcast will be linked down below. Go subscribe. It's not out yet, but when March comes around, if you're watching this, it's going to be linked down below. So awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Thank
That
you.
was so good.
Cool, man.
Thank you so much.